Hey guys, we are going to do 10.3 for graphing sine and cosine. I'm not going to do 10 today, so 10 we're going to do the next day, so no 10. So if you see any problem on 10.3 that has to do with 10, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do that the next day, okay? Now, let's begin with number 1. I'm assuming you have watched the unit circle video, so this actually is not too bad. Again, there's I'm not going to do D, I'm not going to do E, I'm not going to do F. I'm actually just going to do one of these because if you get one, you basically have the others as well. Let's do the first one. The first one says sine theta minus 1, and I have sine theta plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, you have to solve for these individually. This first one, we have sine theta minus 1 equal to 0. And in the other situation, I have sine theta plus 1 equal to 0. I know sine theta is going to end up being 1. I also know sine theta is going to end up being negative 1. Okay, well, here's the deal. You can graph these, and you'll still end up with the same answer as your unit circle, right? They coincide. It just one represents the other. There are different ways of representing a graph. Okay, so in this case, if sine theta is equal to 1, I know here's sine equal to 1, so I know it's equal to 90 degrees. I also know sine theta is equal to negative 1. Well, sine is equal to negative 1 at 270. So those are my two answers. Okay, so 270 and 90. You're going to do the B and C the same exact way. Okay, you're going to solve for them individually. You can also graph. You have the unit circle as a quick representation as well. Number 2, between 0 and 360, find the min and max. I have 7 sine theta minus 3. Okay, so this graph shows you two things. It tells you, obviously, this is a sine graph. Second thing it tells you is your amplitude. Your amplitude is how high or how low it goes. Okay, so your amplitude in this case is just 7, and your axis of the curve is equal to negative 3. Okay, so to find out min and max, you basically have everything that you need. All you need to do is go ahead to find max. You want to say B plus A. And to do min, you want to do B minus A. Pretty simple. Okay. So for max, we can go ahead and do that right here. For max, B plus A is negative 3 plus 7. That means your max would be 4. And for your min, that's B minus A. So again, negative 3 minus 7. That will end up being negative 10. Okay, so you have 4 and negative 10 as your min and max for number 2. Okay, again, you're going to do B and C the same way. I will say, I might as well do C with you. Okay, C, I would rearrange. Okay, it is as so. I would rearrange it. So I would say negative 3 sine theta plus 4. And that way finding your A and B is a lot easier. A would be negative 3, and your B would be, your axis of curve would be 4. Okay, so your max and min for this. Okay, your max is 4 plus negative 3, that would be 1. And your min would be 4 minus a negative 3, that actually would be a positive 7. Okay? Alright, number 3. Sketch on separate diagrams the following curves for the domain 0 to 360 and state the corresponding range of y. Okay? Now, I'm going to do these. Obviously I can't do all of these, but I will do some of these just to kind of give you a preview of what to do. Okay, So let's go ahead and do sine x minus 2 first. Okay. So for sine x minus 2, again, go ahead and you need your amplitude and your axis of curve first. So let me rewrite this, sine x minus 2. I basically need three things. Okay. I need my max, I need my min, and I also need my axis of curve. Okay. Now to basically get me all this, I need A and B. Okay, so off to the side I'm going to go ahead and say A would be equal to 1 and B would be equal to negative 2. Okay, again max is B plus A, so negative 2 plus 1 is just negative 1. Min is B minus A, so negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. And of course your axis of curve is just B, so it's just negative 2. So you have everything you need. Okay. Now you need to recognize, well, how does sine, where does sine start at 0? Sine will start, okay, in the middle, or in this case at your axis at 0. So your axis is at negative 2. Let me go ahead and put in my values. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I go negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Okay. Again, your axis, sine will start at my axis, which is at negative 2. So right there. It will go up 1 at my max, at negative 1 at 90. It will go back to my axis at 180. It will go to my min at 270. And then go back to my axis back at 360. Okay, so here's how your graph should look like. Okay, obviously mine's not perfect, but you guys get the idea. Okay, now your range, just based upon your graph, the lowest it goes is at negative 3, the highest it goes is at negative 1. So your range is the following. Okay, you should write this in set builder notation. Your range would be the lowest it goes is at negative 3, and the highest it goes is at negative 1. Okay, so there would be your range. Okay, let's go ahead and do maybe one more. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and do a cosine one. Let's do E. Okay. So E, I have the following. Okay, y is equal to 3 times parentheses cos x minus 1. Alright, so y is equal to 3 cos x minus 1. Alright, obviously you need to, let's simplify here first. So this should look like 3 cos x minus 3. Now let's go ahead and label our a and b. A is equal to 3, b is equal to negative 3. Okay, based off of that, I can go ahead and label my max, my min, and my axis. My max would be negative 3 plus 3, well that's just 0. My min in this case, okay, is negative 3 minus 3, that would end up being negative 6. And my axis is just at negative 3. Okay, so there we go. I've got 0 as my max, I got min as my negative 6, and axis at negative 3. So here we go. I'm going to have 0, 1, 2, but it's really negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. Okay? So let's go ahead and place our coordinates where they're supposed to be, or our placements where they're supposed to be. Now for cos, it's going to start when it comes to 0 degrees, it's going to start at your max. Your max ends up being 0. Okay? It's going to go downwards to your axis, which is at -3. It's going to keep going down to your min at 180, and then it's going to shoot back up, back to your axis, and then back to your max. Okay, so here's how it should generally look like. Okay, your range of this. Your range would end up being, again, just take a look. It's going to be, your lowest point would be at -6, and your highest point is at 0. Okay, so there's your range. Alright, let me do one more. I will do one of the absolute value ones. Okay, let's go ahead and do F. Okay, let's do F so we can at least do one of the absolute value ones, so we can get that under our belt. Alright, so F. For F we have the following. It says y is equal to the absolute value of 3 sine x minus 2. Okay, all of this is obviously within absolute value. Now here's how we're going to do this. We're going to hold on to this, okay? We're going to hold on to this. Stop. We're going to hold on to that, and we're going to graph this first without absolute value. Okay? So what I mean by that, we're going to rewrite this in saying 3 sine x minus 2. Well, now you're going to decide what is A, what is B. A is 3, and B is equal to -2. Now, again, you need your max and min. Let's go ahead and say max. What is our max? -2 plus 3, that would end up being 1. Your min, -2 minus 3, that will end up being -5. Okay? And your axis is just -2. Okay. Let's go ahead and label your, start labeling your y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. And why not -6? Alright, so again, we're going to apply the absolute value later. All I'm doing is graphing this first. Okay? Now this is sine, so it's going to start at your axis, which is -2. So I'm going to start at my axis. It's going to go up to your max, which is at 1. It's going to go back to your axis. It's going to go back. It's going to go down to min, your minimum, and then it's going to go back up to axis. Okay, so here's how this should look like. Alright, so that's just, again, that's what this was. Okay, again, we need to apply absolute value now. So here's how we apply it. First of all, since absolute value tells us anything below 0 has to reflect up. So if you have something above 0, which I do, again, this is at 0, I have this above 0, okay, that's staying put. That's not going anywhere. I'm not going to change that one bit. However, I'm going to change this. This was a -2. It's going to turn into a +2. This was a -2 as well. I'm going to change that to a +2. This was a -5. I'm going to change that to a +5. And this was a -2 as well. That's going to be +2. Alright. Again, I'm not, whatever was above 0, I keep that. That's not going anywhere. But I'm going to start applying the absolute value now. So there we go. back to 2, back up here, and then back to your axis. Okay, so here's how it should look like. So I'm going to erase what you shouldn't have. What you shouldn't have is all this. Okay. But ultimately, that's how your graph should look like. Okay. Once you apply absolute value.